Hello everyone, my name is Angelica and this is Emma, and I'm back in her lovely home again, and today we're going to do the Newbie Friends booktube tag.
Yeah, that was close. Newly friend, but newbie friend works too.
Basically, because we both like to read, we're both part of booktube, we thought it would be super fun to like guess each other's favorites in the book world.
Yeah.
Also check out our matching shirts. I'm super proud of them. Thank you, Emma, for supplying them. I'm using Thoughts on Tomes questions, so I'll link her channel down below.
I'm scared. I feel like I'm gonna get them all wrong.
I feel like I know a very specific side of like your reading interests,
but we haven't ever talked like about
broadly.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know what your favorite book is. If that's one of the questions, skip it, because I don't know.
I don't think it is.
Okay, cool.
But I'm definitely gonna like zoom in on our faces at that moment where we're like Okay, the first question is your favorite paranormal romance. And I think this is a tag geared toward people who read a lot of YA,
which
is awesome. But I haven't read a lot of YA recently.
No, I can only think of one paranormal romance.
Cool.
That's a clue.
Okay. Yeah.
Are we thinking of
the
ourselves?
Same thing.
And do I think of one for me and one for you?
Yeah, you have to know your own answer, and then you have to
yours.
guess yours. Yeah. I'm just like sticking to one for both of us.
Yeah. Should we say it at the same time?
Yep.
3, 2, 1.
Twilight.
Looking back retrospectively, I don't think it's great, but I loved it. I was so into it. So yeah, it's my favorite.
Definitely. I think it's got lots of things that are worth discussing.
Yeah.
But I think
this is a very sensitive way of putting it.
But I think in general, like, I read it in 7th grade when I was 13, and I was in love.
Did you? Oh my god, I wish I was 18 when I read it. And I loved it.
I was in love with Edward and also had the hots for Jacob, so it was like exactly what that book wanted me to feel.
Yeah, I didn't like Jacob. I mean, I didn't like Edward. I was team Jacob through and through.
That's good, because he's probably a better... Well, they're both controlling and weird.
Yeah, both bad.
Anyway, what is your favorite dystopian?
Okay, dystopian.
My favorite dystopian? What?
All I can ever think is like the most recent thing I read. Yeah, favorite is a really hard question because I don't really have favorites in that way. Like the one I'm thinking of, it's not like my favorite. I just don't know what that means. It's like the one that I most read and most was like, I'm really glad that exists.
Okay, cool. We're on the same level then. Okay, cool. Do you want to go first?
I'm gonna guess that it might be The Handmaid's Tale.
That's hilarious because I was going to guess that for you.
Okay.
Mine is We by some Russian name with a first name, and his last name is Semyon. And
I don't know it.
And that book is basically, well, I think 1984 is largely based off of that like concept thing.
So mine is a book that's based on The Handmaid's Tale, and that is Louise O'Neill's Only Ever Yours. But the reason I picked it over The Handmaid's Tale is maybe because it's YA. Like, I'm just so glad it exists because I feel like it's educating like a whole new generation, and it's so powerful.
Yeah. Favorite contemporary?
Okay, so this is hard because mainly I read contemporary. So that's basically like saying my favorite book. So I don't know. I can go with my favorite this year. I don't know if I can go with my favorite of all time.
Yeah. Let me look at your books for a second.
Okay. I was gonna guess your favorite book is Nightfall.
Yeah. I'm gonna guess for you, only because we've been talking about YA and you're saying like, I can think of one in the last year, and I recently watched a video where you talked about this book. Was The Hate You Give.
Okay, it wasn't what I was thinking of, but that was in my top 10 video. My favorite book I read in 2017 was Beartown. By Frederick Backman. But The Hate You Give...
It's literally right over there.
It's right up there with like the front facing outward. The Hate You Give was up there.
Yeah.
So I think that counts because I didn't know what else it was.
Ooh, okay, so we're moving on from like genre into character. So favorite lead female
of all time.
Apparently.
Again, we're struggling with defining favorite. This is not my favorite person in terms of who I respect the most or like who's my favorite. It's just my favorite in terms of like I feel such an affinity with her that I shouldn't. Because
Okay.
she's not the best character. Give me an abstract clue.
Nostalgia.
Oh, that just made me change my answer. Have we changed to the same one? And I can't remember if we've had this conversation, if we both have read this book.
No.
But I've just changed my answer.
And
I have a genuine favourite female character.
Okay, then I'm not gonna get it. Because I don't know if I know what this is for you.
You can get either one, will give you the point. Not that we're keeping points, but...
I was thinking that it would either be Emma from Emma by Jane Austen or Bridget Jones.
Oh, interesting. So the one that I was talking about was Marianne from
Oh,
Sense and Sensibility.
Because we literally had a conversation about this. Oh.
But Emma, also, I love Emma to bits. So that was like a really good guess.
Okay.
And then I changed it when you said nostalgia because I suddenly remembered that actually my favourite female character of all time is Ella Enchanted from Ella Enchanted because she's so fucking great.
That's such a good one.
But all of them, I feel like that counts as you getting it. Emma Woodhouse is fantastic.
Oh, she's so great.
And I have honestly no idea for you for nostalgia. Like a childhood book, nostalgia?
Like the one.
Hermione Granger.
The one in like that series, but a different character. So.
Ginny Weasley. Luna Lovegood. Help me. Professor McGonagall.
Yes.
Yeah, she's so great. I read a really fun, you know those like inspirational Pinterest quote things? I read one that I was like, this has moved me to my core. And it was like, live your life so that Professor McGonagall will be perpetually exasperated by and proud of you. And I was like, yeah, that's what I want. I want her to be proud of me and frustrated because I'm never following the rules, but I'm always doing them in a good way.
Oh my gosh.
She's great.
I'm gonna cry. Okay, let's move on like quickly because I'm gonna get too emotional for this video. The next question is favorite male.
Favorite male. God, I hate men. Okay, no, actually, this is easy. I can do this.
Okay.
I know it.
Okay.
I know mine, and it might be yours as well.
Cool. You go first then.
Mr. Knight.
Yeah!
Yay! He's the best. He's the best.
So I obviously will talk about this more in my Jane Eyre wrap up, but like I could not stand Mr. Rochester, and I didn't think that just because he was like tall, dark, and handsome, it excused any of his behavior because a lot of it was negative. So Mr. Knightley is super fab because he's tall, handsome, and funny and kind.
Yeah.
So.
And you can't get better than that. And smart and patient.
Exactly.
Empathetic.
Empathy.
Just a dream.
Favorite trilogy.
Interesting. I don't know how many trilogies I've even read. Okay, I've read one trilogy.
Okay, can we switch this to series?
Favorite series.
Excluding Harry Potter. So like,
That makes it hard.
okay.
You probably won't guess this.
Okay, cool.
Because you might not have heard of them. Do you know what yours is yet?
Yeah, I think so.
I'm just kind of basing this on like that you're similar to me and I'm going for one that I really like. Is it the Princess Diaries?
Oh, I did read those a lot as a kid, but that's not the one I was thinking.
Okay. Was it Series of Unfortunate Events?
No, but that's a really good one. The Lunar Chronicles? Only because, and I don't think I've ever talked to you about that, so I don't know if you would have gotten that.
What do you think mine is? I feel like you have no chance because this wasn't a big popular series. So my sister in real life never read books when we were growing up. I was the book nerd, and one time I came into her room and she was reading this book and I was like, Sophie, you are 15 years old, this book is too young for you, what are you doing? I was being really snobby about it, and she was like, just read it. So I started reading it, like I was reading it out loud and like mocking her, and then after the first page I was like, I'm just gonna turn the page and just keep going. And I kept going, and then I read, there's 4 of them and I read all 4 and I loved them.
Is it The Sisters of the Traveling Pants?
No.
Ah.
Never read those actually. They're called Bras and Broomsticks.
Oh.
They're so good. I've got them right here.
Wait.
They are about a girl whose sister is a witch, but she's not a witch. So her sister can do magic and she can't, and it's really distressing. And they're called Bras and Broomsticks, Frogs and French Kisses, Spells and Sleeping Bags, and Parties and Potions.
Oh my gosh.
And they're fantastic.
I've never read them.
Oh my goodness. Well, they're so good.
Are they as good as the OC?
Oh, that's a difficult question, Angelica.
Favorite standalone?
I've just got several, so I think if you guess any of the several that are my favourite books of all time, then that counts.
Lol. I was gonna say Beartown again, but that's just cheating, because...
I picked a different one. I've gone with all time. None of these are ones I read this year.
So this is like where I'm actually coming to a point where I'm like, we haven't talked
We haven't,
enough.
yeah. Because I don't know what yours is. We might just have to tell each other because we don't know.
Okay.
I think we should do a token guess.
Okay.
One of the things we mentioned today is one of my favourite books of all time.
Is it Sense and Sensibility?
That is one of my favourite books of all time.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
What are the others?
Actually that wasn't the one I was hinting at, but we had also mentioned that Ella Enchanted is also one of my favourite
of
books of all time.
course, yeah.
Also, Vile Bodies by Evelyn Waugh is one of my favourite books of all time.
I don't know anything about that.
It's so good. I've always loved it ever since I read it, but when I was in my A-level year, so my last year of school, everyone in the class, in my English class, had to do a coursework on a certain book, but the teacher was like, you guys can choose what book it is, but no one else cared what it was, and I was the only nerd who was like, I've got an idea. So I picked Vile Bodies because it's my favourite book of all time, and 100% of people in the class hated it. Except, well, actually 99% because I loved it and my friend Holly loved it. It's like set in between the wars basically, and it's like these really posh English people, and we started talking to each other in those voices, like really exaggerating our voices and being like, it's too sad making. And then like something that always really hits me in fiction and in real life is people not expressing their emotions, like not being able to express their emotions, and this book is so sad. Like everything that happens in it is so sad, but what I love about it, or what really hits me really hard about it, is that they never acknowledge that it's sad. They're living these tragic lives and they just go to parties and they're like, oh, it's rather dull. It's like this couple who want to get married and they just can't get married, and they're like, oh, it's so dull that we can't get married, and that's the only thing they ever say about it, rather than just being like, this is tearing them apart. I love it. It's so good.
That's amazing.
And I've got it up there on my bookshelf, but I don't think you can see it on the thing. It's the yellow one pointing outwards. It's really good. It's really good. Okay, and now we're going with yours. Did you have one in your... You had a few in your head as well?
Yeah, I have a couple in case you can't.
Okay, so I was thinking, because we've talked about liking Jane Austen, is a Jane Austen one of them?
Yeah.
It is. Would it be Emma?
It's high up, but that's not the one I was thinking
about.
I
don't know what your favourite one is. Is it Persuasion?
I really like a specific quote in Persuasion, but it's not
that's
like...
my favourite one. And I know that it's not Pride and Prejudice, and I don't think that it's Mansfield Park.
I hate that one.
Yeah, I thought so. Maybe it's Sense and Sensibility as well.
I really like that one.
So it's Northanger Abbey. Cool, nailed it, Emma.
Yeah.
Northanger Abbey is really good. I love Northanger Abbey.
I just felt when I first read it so in line with Catherine Morland, and I would get really spooked out, and I always like make random assumptions not based on science, that people would be like, how could you ever think that would happen? And I'd be like, I don't know, I just thought like maybe somehow the universe would just like make these things all coordinate, because half of it is her just being like, there's a dead body in the other room, or like something like crazy, and I feel like my superstition just like gets the most of me. Yeah.
What were your other ones?
I can't remember anymore. Drinking at the Movies by Julia Wirtz, which is a graphic novel about alcoholism, but she's like a creative, like she knows that she really likes comics, and it just tells her story about like how she went from like a lot of her part-time jobs, or like food service jobs, into like becoming an artist person, which is like helpful because I'm like, I want to do that. Like not cartoonism, but something similar. Favorite trilogy?
Trilogy?
Yeah.
Was that the last one?
Yep.
I thought it was something else. We already did trilogy, didn't we?
Love Triangle.
Love Triangle.
Cool.
You had the tree bit. Yeah.
How did I say that?
Here's my just controversial opinion in general. I love a love triangle. People hate them. They're so cliche. I love them. I love the idea of being in one. I think it would be great. It's always a girl and two guys though. I feel like our society is more like slut-shamey, so you would think it would be more like a guy and two girls would be fine and a girl and two guys would be bad. But weirdly, a girl and two guys is like romanticized. Yay, feminism.
It's about making the female protagonist more desirable.
Yeah, there you go.
But it would be so great if it was like 3 girls.
Here's what I want. As a bisexual woman myself, what I really want, I don't want to play into stereotypes, but I also think portraying something that is a stereotype isn't inherently bad. It's only bad when it's stereotyped.
Yeah.
So like there's like the stereotype of like a slutty bisexual. That doesn't mean that being a slutty bisexual is a bad thing.
Yeah,
or like
of course
having
not.
a character is a slutty bisexual. It's only when it's all of them. And the same thing, like there's this stereotype that like bisexuals can't choose and they want one of each, which is why we never see love triangles where it's a girl choosing between a guy and a girl. But I want to see that.
I would love a character who, like, in the context of her character has like dated a guy, and like that's in the past, and like her present dilemma is like choosing between two girls.
Yeah, okay.
Because then it would be like, I think girls who like happen to be in relationships with men just because like how it's turned out, and probably because like society is biased towards that, and it's like easier. Like, I'm not saying like that was like why we've all happened to like be in relationships with men, but it's like
though,
definitely more societally helpful. And so like I think having more media that's geared towards the opposite, where like you're a bi woman and you choose to like be in a long-term relationship with a female, would be super helpful for like the young people, which I guess is like what my concern is like, I'm obviously happy in the relationship that I'm in, but I'm like, but I want the young people to feel like they can do what they want.
Yeah. It's more like looking back on my past stuff. Like right now I'm really happy, but growing up as a teenager was sometimes confusing.
Yeah, of course.
And I want young people growing up to like not have to go through the confusion. And if they also end up being with a guy, great, because that's what we're trying to prove, is like people can be bi, you don't have to be gay, you can be bi, and that's great. And if you end up with a man, you're still bi.
Yeah.
But I grew up always thinking I will end up with a guy. Even when I started to realize like, oh, maybe I could like fall in love with a girl, or I could fancy a girl, I still was like, I'll end up with a guy. And then I did, and then that's great and wonderful, and I love them to bits. But I want the next generation to not have it like set in stone for them.
So like basically we need more representation of it.
Yeah.
Which would be dope, even if it was in a love triangle.
Even in a love triangle. It's hard though, because I always think like, I love the idea of writing a book one day, and I would love to write a love triangle with a bisexual woman who is in a love triangle with a man and a woman. Just because that's something I always wanted to read. So it's like, write what you want to read about. But I feel like if I wrote it, I would get... I don't want to criticize people calling people out, because I think it's great. But sometimes it comes from not the right place. And I feel like people might call me out if I wrote that, because they'd be like, you're playing into the bisexual stereotype. And I find that a bit unhelpful, because I think there's no such thing as a bad, stereotypical, single representation. The flaw comes from when they're all represented that way. But that doesn't mean that you can't, like, you know, there's all kinds of stereotypes that we might play into. Like, there's the stereotype of, like, a lesbian feminist. That doesn't mean that you can't be a lesbian feminist, because then you're playing into the stereotype. Of course you can be a lesbian feminist. It's just acknowledge we've now moved on where we don't think that all feminists are lesbians.
I think as well, like what you're saying is that like people look over nuance. So even if you built those characters and like you built them in a specific way, you would be able to defy stereotypes, because I feel like so many people are like, oh, like the girl like just misses some D, and then you could be like, no, like the reason why she's attracted to this guy is because he's super sensitive or something. I don't know, or you know, it's just like who he is as a person, and like she equally loves this other person because of who they are as a person, and she's just struggling because she doesn't know where she personally is in her life, which is probably what most bi people are struggling with. So it's just like, it's about showing how each person is a human being, and it doesn't matter what your gender or your sexual orientation is, which I think is the important thing.
Exactly.
Boom!
So many topics you've covered today. I love it.
Do you have a triangle? Because I don't actually have one.
We forgot to go with triangle. Okay, well, again, I can only think of one, and I was really clear on which one I wanted from the triangle. I feel I can get someone better though, because I love triangle. Yeah. There's definitely been ones where I like both people and I can't choose. Oh, it's not a book. It is a book. I haven't read the book. Okay. I'm gonna go with it. It's like the most beloved romantic movie of our generation.
Oh my gosh. Can I wee first?
Yeah. You can.
Oh my god.
It's not the best, it's just the most like beloved.
Well,
think about it while you're weeing.
Okay.
A few moments later.
And he goes, She goes, why didn't you write me? He goes, I did write you. I wrote you 365 letters.
The Notebook.
Yeah.
Wow.
We did it.
Do you feel like we know each other more?
So well now. I feel like we know everything about each other.
But thank you so much for doing this tag video with me.
Oh, thank you.
Slash, is it a tag video? Cheers.
Cheers.
To newly friends booktube.
Yes.
And I hope that you all check out Emma's video, and all that information will be linked down below so you can easily check it out. We basically made a meal together.
We did.
And talked about being vegan and being your best self. So please check it down below.
And subscribe to this channel, Angelica's channel, if you haven't already. And give this video a thumbs up.
Yes! Thank you so much for reminding me to do that, because I always forget, and then at the end I'm like, oh, I didn't do it again.
And leave us a comment.
Please leave us a
telling
comment.
Your favorite love triangle.
Yes! What is it? Because I can't think of any right now.
That I know. I'm gonna then read all the comments and be like, I love that one. Because I know that I love them. I always passionately defend love triangles, and then now I can't think of any. But I know that I love them.
I would like to see you passionately argue for love triangles, because like I tend to be on the other side of them. So we should have like a love triangle debate.
That sounds great. I'm there.
Okay, cool.
Next video.
Yeah.